I used to think I was doing everything right. Ate my vegetables. Walked every day. Stayed away from bad habits. And for the most part, I felt fine. No major aches. No serious illnesses. Just the usual stiffness and slower movements that come with age. But then, I took a test. A simple test. One that changed everything. And let me tell you, I was not prepared for what it revealed. At 70 years old, you believe you know your body. After all, you have lived in it for decades. You have felt the highs of strength and the lows of illness. You have learned what foods sit well with you and which ones do not. You think that because your doctor says your blood pressure is fine and your cholesterol is in check, you are in good shape. But let me ask you, have you ever had your grip strength tested? Sounds simple, does it not? Just squeeze a little device. But that one test tells more about your future than you would ever guess. I remember the day my doctor handed me the dynamometer. Just squeeze as hard as you can, he said. I laughed. How hard could it be? I clenched my fist around it and pressed with all my might. And then I saw the number. It was lower than I expected. Much lower. My doctor gave a small nod, as if he had seen this before. This tells me a lot about your overall health, he said. I frowned. What do you mean? My heart is strong. I eat well. I exercise. He sighed and leaned forward. Your grip strength is a predictor of your longevity. The weaker your grip, the higher your risk of serious health problems. I sat there, stunned. He went on to explain that grip strength is not just about hand strength. It reflects total body strength, nervous system health, and even heart function. Studies have shown that people with weak grip strength are more likely to suffer from heart disease, cognitive decline, and even early death. It is like a window into your body's true condition. And here I was, thinking I was doing fine. That test shook me. I went home and started reading everything I could about it. I learned that after the age of 40, we lose muscle mass every year. By 70, that loss accelerates if we do not fight it. And if your grip is weak, it is a sign that the rest of your body is following the same decline. I thought about all the little things I had brushed off. The way it was harder to open jars. The slight struggle to carry groceries. The times I hesitated before getting up from a chair because I was not sure if my legs would push me up smoothly. I had ignored the warnings. And that is what most people do. They assume weakness is just a part of aging. But here is the truth. It does not have to be. You do not have to accept that your body is getting weaker. You can fight back. But first, you have to know where you stand. If you have never tested your grip strength, do it. It is not about vanity. It is not about proving anything. It is about knowing the truth before it is too late. After that appointment, I made changes. Not big, overwhelming ones. Small, consistent ones. I started strength training. Nothing fancy. Just basic bodyweight exercises. Squats. Push-ups against the wall. Lifting small weights. I focused on protein, making sure I was eating enough to rebuild the muscle I had been losing for years. And most importantly, I practiced grip exercises. Squeezing a rubber ball. Hanging from a bar, even for just a few seconds. Carrying heavier grocery bags instead of using a cart. The first few weeks were humbling. My hands felt weak. My arms shook. My legs burned. But then, something happened. I started feeling stronger. I noticed I could open a jar without struggling. I could carry all my groceries inside in one trip. I stood up from my chair with ease. I did not just feel different. I felt alive. Months later, I went back to the doctor. He handed me the dynamometer again. This time, when I squeezed, I saw a higher number. He raised an eyebrow and smiled. "You have been working on it," he said. And I nodded, because I knew. I knew that I had taken control of my future. I knew that I was not just letting age take its course. I was fighting back. Most people do not realize what they are losing until it is too late. They ignore the signs. The weakening grip. The slower movements. The small struggles that become big ones. But listen to me. If you are over 70, do not assume you are as healthy as you feel. Take the test. Know the truth. And if your grip is weak, do something about it. It is never too late to turn things around. But you have to start now. Now, let's clear some common questions. What is the connection between grip strength and the ability to live independently as you age? I never thought much about my hands when I was younger. They were just there, doing what they were supposed to do. Holding a coffee cup. Turning a doorknob. Carrying groceries. Lifting my grandchildren onto my lap. I never stopped to wonder if my grip was strong or weak. It just was. But as I got older, things started changing. At first, it was subtle. A little extra effort to twist open a jar. A small hesitation before picking up a heavy pan. Then one day, I found myself struggling to button my shirt. My fingers fumbled, and I felt a frustration I had never known before. That was when I realized something important. My hands were not just about strength. They were about independence. People do not think about grip strength until it starts slipping away. But the truth is, it is one of the strongest indicators of whether you will be able to take care of yourself as you age. If you cannot grip, you cannot lift. If you cannot lift, you cannot carry. If you cannot carry, you start relying on others for things you once did without thinking. And once you start relying on others, your independence begins to fade. That is a hard pill to swallow when you have spent your whole life taking care of yourself. I remember the day my doctor tested my grip strength. He handed me a small device and told me to squeeze as hard as I could. I thought it was a joke. What did my hands have to do with my health? But when he showed me the number, his expression changed. This tells me a lot about your overall strength, he said. I did not like the sound of that. He went on to explain that grip strength is linked to muscle mass, bone density, and even heart health. People with weak grips are more likely to have mobility issues, falls, and even shorter lifespans. I sat there, stunned. When you are young, losing strength is not something you think about. But when you are in your 70s, it is different. You start noticing the small things. The way your hands tremble when carrying a plate. The way your arms feel tired after holding a book for too long. The way you hesitate before stepping off a curb because you are not sure if your legs will hold steady. It is all connected. Your grip is not just about your hands. It is a reflection of your entire body. And if it is weak, it is a warning sign. I started paying attention after that appointment. I watched people around me. The ones who could still live on their own, do their chores, and move around with ease all had one thing in common. They were strong. Not bodybuilder strong, but strong enough to lift, carry, and move without struggle. And the ones who had lost their independence, they had lost their strength first. I saw it in the way they gripped their walkers. The way they needed help getting out of chairs. The way they struggled to hold a cup steady. It was all tied to grip strength. That realization hit me hard. I had always told myself that aging was just a natural process. That getting weaker was inevitable. But I was wrong. Weakness is not just a part of aging. It is a consequence of not fighting back. And the fight starts with grip strength. Because when you strengthen your grip, you strengthen everything else. I decided to make changes. I started with small things. Squeezing a rubber ball while watching television. Holding onto a heavy bag for a few extra seconds before setting it down. Carrying my groceries instead of pushing a cart. At first, my hands ached. My fingers felt stiff. But I kept at it. And over time, I noticed something. My grip got stronger. And with that, everything else started improving. It became easier to push myself out of a chair. Easier to carry my laundry. Easier to open bottles without struggling. I felt more in control of my own body. And that feeling? That is independence. The ability to do things for yourself. To not have to ask for help with the little things. To move through life without hesitation. But here is the real truth. Grip strength is not just about physical ability. It is about confidence. When you feel weak, you hesitate. You second-guess yourself. You avoid certain movements because you are afraid of falling or failing. And once you start avoiding things, your world shrinks. You stop going places because you do not trust your body to keep up. You stop doing tasks because you do not want to struggle. And before you know it, you are relying on others for things you used to do with ease. I have seen it happen to too many people. They do not realize they are losing their independence until it is gone. But it does not have to be that way. The body is capable of rebuilding strength at any age. And the sooner you start, the better. So if you are over 70, test your grip strength. Squeeze a ball. Carry a bag. Pay attention to how your hands feel. Do they tire easily? Do they struggle with simple tasks? If so, do not ignore it. Because your grip strength is not just about your hands. It is about your ability to live on your own terms. It is about holding on to your freedom for as long as possible. And trust me, that is worth fighting for. How can small daily changes, like carrying heavier grocery bags or squeezing a rubber ball, dramatically impact your future health? I used to believe that staying healthy meant doing big things. Going to the gym. Following strict diets. Taking long walks every morning. But as I got older, I started to see things differently. It was not the big efforts that made the biggest difference. It was the small, daily choices. The little things that seemed too simple to matter. Like carrying heavier grocery bags instead of using a cart. Squeezing a rubber ball while watching television. Standing up from a chair without using my hands. These were things I barely noticed at first. But over time, they changed everything. Most people do not realize how much strength they are losing until one day, something that used to be easy suddenly feels impossible. It starts small. A little extra effort to twist open a jar. A moment of hesitation before stepping off a curb. A slight unsteadiness while getting out of bed. At first, you ignore it. Tell yourself it is nothing. Just a bad day. But then it happens again. And again. And before you know it, you are avoiding certain tasks altogether. You start asking for help with things you used to do without thinking. You start relying on others more and more. And that is how it begins. The slow decline that steals your independence. I remember the moment I realized I needed to change something. I was carrying my groceries inside, and for the first time, I felt the weight in my hands. It was not unbearable, but it was heavier than I remembered. I had always prided myself on carrying all my bags in one trip. But that day, I almost set them down to take a break. That was when it hit me. If I was already struggling with something as simple as groceries, what would happen in 5 or 10 years? Would I still be able to do it? Or would I become one of those people who had to wait for someone else to carry the bags for them? I did not like that thought. So I made a decision. No more shortcuts. No more making things easier just because I could. I started carrying the heavier bags instead of spreading the weight across multiple trips. I chose to lift them a little higher before setting them down. I gripped them tighter, held them longer, and focused on using my whole body instead of just my arms. It did not feel like much at first. But as the weeks went by, I noticed something. My hands felt stronger. My arms did not tire as quickly. My posture improved. I felt steadier on my feet. That small change led to another. I started squeezing a rubber ball while watching television. At first, my fingers felt weak. My grip was not as firm as I thought it was. But I kept at it. Squeeze. Release. Squeeze. Release. Over and over. It became a habit. Something I did without thinking. And one day, I noticed I could open a stubborn jar without struggling. I could hold a book for longer without my hands cramping. My grip, something I had never given much thought to, had quietly grown stronger. These little changes may not seem like much. But they add up. Every time you carry something heavy, you are telling your body to stay strong. Every time you grip something tightly, you are training your hands to keep working. Every time you push yourself just a little bit more, you are sending a message to your muscles, bones, and nerves. A message that says, I am not giving up. I have seen too many people let themselves weaken without realizing it. They stop lifting things because it feels difficult. They avoid stairs because it is easier to take the elevator. They choose lighter loads, shorter walks, easier tasks. And little by little, they lose their strength. Until one day, they need help with everything. It does not happen overnight. It happens through 1,000 tiny choices. That is why small daily changes matter. Because they build resilience. They keep your body engaged. They keep you in control. I started adding more small challenges to my day. Standing on one foot while brushing my teeth to improve my balance. Getting up from a chair without using my hands to keep my legs strong. Walking an extra lap around the house before sitting down. None of these things took extra time. They were not dramatic workouts or complicated exercises. But they made a difference. I could feel it. One day, I went back to the store and picked up my usual groceries. But this time, something was different. The bags did not feel as heavy. My hands did not ache. My legs felt steady as I walked. And I realized something. I was not just carrying groceries. I was carrying my future. Every step, every lift, every squeeze of that rubber ball had been building me up, little by little. And because of that, I was still able to do things for myself. That is what people do not understand. Strength is not something you lose all at once. It fades gradually. But the good news is, you can fight back in the same way. Not with huge, overwhelming efforts, but with small, consistent actions. Because in the end, it is not about lifting the heaviest weight. It is about being strong enough to keep living life on your terms. And that is something worth working for. What will your grip strength test say about you, and will you choose to take action before it is too late? I have lived long enough to see the strong become weak and the weak become strong. Life has a way of shifting the tides, moving like a great river that never stops flowing. It carries some forward with power and purpose while leaving others stranded on the banks, watching helplessly as their strength fades with time. And so I ask you, what will your grip strength test say about you, and will you choose to take action before it is too late? Do not be fooled into thinking that this is a simple question about the power of your hands. No. It is far more than that. It is a reflection of the choices you make, the discipline you keep, and the resilience that lies within you. Grip strength is not just about muscles. It is a silent measure of your will to hold on to life itself. I remember a time when my grip was like iron. When I shook a man's hand, he knew I was there. My fingers wrapped around his with purpose, my palm pressed firm, and my strength was undeniable. It was not just about pride. It was about knowing that my body could meet the demands of the world. I worked hard. I built things with my hands. I carried the weight of my responsibilities without complaint. But strength, like all things, does not remain unless it is maintained. I have seen men once filled with vigor grow feeble, their hands trembling as they struggle to open a simple jar. I have watched them lose their independence, their grip on the very things they once held dear slipping away. And I have come to understand that this decline does not happen overnight. No. It comes slowly, creeping in like a thief in the dark, taking a little more from you each day. You may think this does not apply to you. You may believe that your grip is strong enough, that your hands will never fail you, that you are different. I once believed the same. But life has a way of humbling even the strongest among us. One day you will reach for something and realize that your fingers no longer respond the way they once did. One day you will struggle to lift what was once light. And if you have not prepared yourself, if you have not taken action while you still could, you will find yourself regretting every moment you took your strength for granted. Strength is not just for the young. It is not something that belongs only to those in their prime. No. It is for every man and woman who refuses to be a victim of time. Who understands that aging is not an excuse for weakness but a challenge to be met with unwavering determination. There are those who say that losing strength is a natural part of growing old, but I say this. It is only natural if you allow it to be. The body may change, but the will remains. And if you choose to fight for your strength, if you choose to hold on instead of letting go, you will find that your grip can remain strong even as the years pass. A simple test can tell you where you stand. Squeeze the dynamometer, feel the pressure build, and see what the numbers reveal. They do not lie. They will tell you if your hands still carry the force of a life well lived or if you have begun to wither without even realizing it. But the real question is not about the result. It is about what you do next. Will you take action? Will you decide that you are not yet ready to weaken? Or will you accept the slow descent into frailty? That choice is yours alone. I have seen men who waited too long. They ignored the signs. They brushed off their declining grip as nothing more than a minor inconvenience. But when the time came that they needed their strength most, when they reached out to steady themselves from a fall or to lift themselves from a chair, they found that it was gone. They had let it slip through their fingers, and there was no getting it back. And I tell you this not to frighten you but to wake you up. Because there is still time. You are not yet at the end. You still have the power to fight against the slow erosion of your strength. Do not think that regaining or maintaining your grip is beyond you. No. It does not take great effort to keep what is yours. A firm handshake every day. The act of carrying your own groceries instead of letting someone else do it. The simple task of squeezing a ball in your hand as you sit and think about life. Small actions lead to great results. Your hands were meant for work, for holding, for building. Do not let them grow weak from neglect. And let us not forget that grip strength is not just about physical ability. It is a reflection of your inner strength. Your resilience. Your determination to hold on when life tries to pull you down. Those who train their grip are not just strengthening their hands. They are training their mind to endure. To never let go, even when the weight of the world is upon them. When you shake a strong hand, you feel the presence of a person who does not give in easily. Who stands firm in the face of adversity. That is the kind of strength that carries a person through life. So I ask again. What will your grip strength test say about you? Will it tell the story of someone who is prepared for the battles ahead, or will it reveal a slow surrender to time? And more importantly, will you choose to take action before it is too late? I cannot answer that for you. No one can. But I can tell you this. Strength is not given. It is earned. It is fought for every single day. And those who understand this, who take control of their fate while they still can, will find that their grip on life remains strong, no matter how many years pass. Do not wait. Do not tell yourself that you will start tomorrow. Tomorrow is not promised. The only moment you have is now. Squeeze your hands into fists. Feel the power that still resides within you. And then make the decision that separates the strong from the weak. Hold on. Always hold on. And never let go. If you liked today's discussion, don't forget to like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay updated with every video we release. And yes, don't forget to share your experiences and thoughts in the comments. Every comment is special to us. Your feedback helps us improve further. We'll continue to meet you in every new video on this channel, so until next time, take care.